we do, who we are.
Survive a war, you gotta become war.
Boom, and welcome to Thursday. What's going on, guys? Happy Thursday. Like I said, I'm gonna allow some people to pile in here. What we got going on today is I think it's going to be a little bit different than what you guys are used to me doing on the show. A lot of times I've been able to get people in here that I'm almost, fangirling on to have on the show. Like yesterday, IET. If you guys didn't check it out, please go back and check it out. At least the second half when IET spent the whole time with us. It was an amazing show. Absolutely. I'm like mind blown in those moments. So I'm like super nervous the whole time. That's the truth. The reason I'm saying that is not because I don't look up to this guy that we're having on today the same way, because I do. But for some reason, I don't know if you guys have ever just clicked with somebody. With this dude that we're having on today, I spent one night like 6 or 7 hours because he streams overnight a lot of times. At least he was when I was able to hang out with him. And I was lucky enough to hang out with him one night, him and Drunk Pinata. I believe they do a show together. We'll ask him all about where you can find him afterwards. But I hung out with them all night, and it's just one of those people. It was like click, right? I just got along with this dude. Conversation was easy. We related on so many levels, and he's an Anon. He's somebody that I look up to for the work that he does, and absolutely the streaming that he does. So I'm super excited to do this as some things have gotten in the way up to this point, because we've been talking about this for months, to tell you the truth. Me and Sean have been talking about this for forever. So I'm super stoked that this is finally happening today. But welcome to Rambo and Frens. Oh, is that not going to work? Oh, come on.
It's a chance to talk to my friends. These are my friends.
So here's my friend of the day. Sean, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, buddy. We finally did it.
You got the same mic as me. I'm stoked about that. That's cool. I like it.
Are you serious? You got the Fiduce?
Yeah, I think so. The Shore of some sort.
It's a Shore knockoff, but I'm good with it, bro.
Bro, I don't know how much of my intro you heard because I saw you coming in to sit down, but what I said was the truth. When I got to hang out with you that night, all night long, I've hung out with you a few times, but that one night, all night long, was like burnt into my memory. We just, in my opinion, it was like one of those relationships. You're like, yo, I could sit here and cut the shit up with this dude for hours and hours. We did. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, that was a memorable moment for me too. Yeah. I thought it was a bigger panel, but apparently not. Now, if it actually was, we wouldn't have had the opportunities that we did to talk and actually get to know each other. And damn, I realized real quick, man, we got a lot in common. Damn. You're like the West Coast version of me.
I'm on the East Coast.
I thought dude. That's right. You're in
Pinata. So
that's Pinata. You're in where are you? Are you in Jersey?
Where are you at?
I'm in Maine.
You're in Maine. Oh, way up there. What are you? Yeah, no, I'm in like South Central PA. I'm kind of like above Baltimore.
Oh yes, that's right. Because I think we talked about Gettysburg and shit like that, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Philly. That's where I still drive to all the time to deal with my stuff with my son and everything. We've talked.
Dude, I had a friend that just went down to Philly, and we were like, she wanted to go to the Rambo Memorial there. We're like, don't do it. Don't fucking do it. Don't do it.
You're not talking about Rambo. You're talking about Rocky.
I'm sorry, Rocky.
That's funny.
The Rocky Museum. Don't do it. Don't fucking do it. She did it. And it took about 5 minutes before her car was broken into. Windows smashed and everything taken right out of it. Thought stash your purse underneath the seat. No, gone. And this was just like 2 weeks ago, too.
That breaks my heart, bro.
I know.
Look, I'm a Philly guy, so I grew up in Delco, which is actually right outside of Philly, right? So, but Philadelphia is a fairly large city. It's by triple the largest city in Pennsylvania. It's no New York, but it's a huge city.
Yeah.
And so the counties that surround it, we still consider ourselves Philly, right? So, everybody still wears green. You still go outside and you go to an outside work job, roofing or framing or whatever. And on the radio, you hear Merrill Reese talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. No one wears anything but green. We bleed green still in counties, which is weird for me now out in the center of Pennsylvania, because it's like I go into a store and I see purple's my favorite color. I like yellow. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, none of you have any loyalty to anything.
Dude, so you're in the Willy Wax now.
Hold on. I got to answer this. Yes, my shirt says Team Vagina.
Look at that, dude.
So the reason for this t-shirt, honestly, was to support somebody locally that had cervical cancer. That's the truth. And it was a cute way at $20 a pop to support her. I bought like 20 of them. I gave them to everybody because they're hysterical. And I was supporting somebody locally that was in the midst of a fight for their life, and I don't believe that person is with us anymore. So this shirt's probably about 3 years old. I just threw it on because I was too busy digging into my phone all morning.
But you can spin that in a way that's like, hey, I'm pro like hetero, right? Not one of you heterophobes out there, right? That's what I think. That's an appropriate way to refer to them now on. They call us xenophobe. They call us all the phobes. All right, well, then that makes you a heterophobe.
I got a better way to tie it in.
Do it.
Are you ready? Hold on. Somebody died today. Do you know who?
No.
Did you just wake up by chance? Hold on.
Yes.
Okay, so somebody
like 2 hours ago.
So maybe I'm making a stand against the guy that died today.
Nobody does it better. Hurts leads the others by far. Nobody does it best of all.
Shut the fuck up, bro.
The superstar.
Nobody has more of what it takes to rid you of Fairmont,
OJ's dead?
OTV, or other fine car faster.
So 76 years old, OJ dies of brain cancer today.
What?
Yep. Yeah.
Who the hell knew he had brain cancer?
If the glove don't fit, you must
you must have quit. Holy shit, dude. What? I'm sure he wasn't jibby jabbed at all either. Somebody had to say it. Everybody was thinking it.
Yeah. No,
dude, I remember a day where if somebody prominent, a celebrity had brain cancer, we knew it. Everybody knew it. I remember a day where, where it wasn't a shock, where one day, thinking about them, and then the next day they're dead, they're gone, right? This is happening left and right. And I worry that that it's becoming normalized, people just dropping like flies.
I think since we stumbled upon it, I think this tells the whole thing. So let's do that, and then we'll move on and get into some deeper conversation. But since it came up,
dude, we can do anything. I don't care.
I agree. I know. That's why I love hanging out with somebody like you, bro. Check this out.
News this midday, O.J. Simpson has died. First an NFL
so symbolic.
Popular pitchman, he became one of the most infamous figures in the world during a murder trial in the 90s. Welcome to Midday. I'm Dia Wall. Simpson's family confirmed his death on social media around 9:30 this morning. They said O.J. Simpson succumbed to his battle with cancer. He was surrounded by his children and grandchildren. They asked for privacy and grace at this time. Rena Roy looks back on the life of the
We have to talk over it a little bit. I don't know if you know, but we're on YouTube. So if we don't, we'll get banged.
He was considered one of the greatest athletes in the country. O.J. Simpson, the Juice, an All-American at USC and the Heisman Trophy winner in 1968. Simpson went to the Buffalo Bills, turning a bad team into a good one and himself into a legend. The first player ever to gain 2,000 yards in a single NFL season. A Hall of Famer.
never let you guys down, man. I'll live up to the honor.
What a life story. You know what I mean, bro?
With
100%.
ability and star quality, he became one
To
of
be
the
a
first
star
black
and then the
athletes to win
turmoil.
off the field in the lucrative endorsement game. He starred in
I
commercials
got questions.
on TV and in movies,
Yeah, from Dakota.
creating a celebrity lifestyle. But that changed in June 1994 when Simpson's ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, was found brutally murdered. She'd been stabbed
Not the
repeatedly
Bronco,
and her
bro.
throat was slit. Her friend Ronald Goldman was also repeatedly stabbed to death. Simpson quickly became a suspect, and after the now infamous white Bronco slow-speed chase, which was carried live on TV stations around the country, he was arrested.
Not guilty.
Charged with both murders, Simpson's 9-month murder trial was broadcast to millions.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant Orenthal
Dude,
J.
my
Simpson
favorite was
not
when he
guilty
went
of the
back
crime of
in
murder.
and
2
stole the
years
property
later, sued
back
in
that he
civil
said was
court by the
stolen from
parents of
him.
Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. The
I didn't
verdict-
even know about that, bro.
Simpson was found liable for
What?
the theft.
Really?
His assets were
Wait for it.
seized
I
and
think
he
they
was
show it
ordered
here.
to pay $33.5 million in restitution to both victims' families.
Did he even have it?
$1 and virtually bankrupt, Simpson's life became a decade-long encounter with the paparazzi. In 2007, Simpson was arrested after he and friends entered a Las Vegas hotel room to retrieve sports
Friends.
memorabilia Simpson claimed had been stolen.
Oh, okay. I remember that.
Guilty.
Simpson was sentenced to 33 years in prison, but was released on parole after 9 years. Out of the spotlight, the all-American hero and American pariah died as a disgraced but free man. Rena Roy, ABC News.
I knew about that, but I didn't know that. I thought you were saying he went back and took the items from like the house and switched them out, right? Switch out the gloves or something like that. But dude, think about this. Would you agree that there's probably been countless times before OJ where celebrities or politicians even did unspeakable things much like OJ did and somehow got away with it or didn't face a trial, public trial like this? Part of it almost makes me wonder if it's possible he was set up.
I don't think that your question. Look, I look at everything that way at this point.
Yep.
The Donald Trump told us the fake news media.
Yeah.
Fake Joe Biden.
That's right.
Indictments.
Yep.
I at this point, when I see something on the news, I instantly try to figure out where they're lying to me every time. Michael Jackson, in my opinion, was not a pedophile.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you for saying that. You set up because it wasn't willing to play ball.
Right. That's a blatant one.
Yeah.
Prince.
Prince.
Prince died under really shady circumstances. We can run through all of them.
Yeah.
Multiple of them look like they faked their deaths. Tons of them look like they faked their deaths.
I wouldn't be surprised if the vast majority of the good ones went down because they weren't willing to play ball. Mike Tyson's another prime example.
Bro, do you know that I didn't play basketball. I wrestled.
Yeah.
I played football, wrestling, and lacrosse. But do you know that my high school played Kobe Bryant?
Oh, for real?
So I saw him I saw him play many times actually in my high school. He's only 2 years ahead of me.
Yeah.
So as a freshman, I was watching him play as a junior in my gymnasium. And here's a funny story, right? Sidebar. But one of my buddies, we'll just call him Chris. So Chris had a basketball signed by Kobe junior year. We were freshmen. And Chris, when we were smoking the devil's lettuce junior year, decided that he wanted a Happy Meal more than he wanted that basketball, and he traded it for one. Yeah.
No way, dude. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's the truth.
Come on.
That's an absolutely true story. He signed a junior year signed Kobe Bryant basketball that we had pictures of him doing the signature for a Happy Meal.
Hey, dude. My heart goes out to people like that, bro. It's such a crying shame. Hopefully people like that later on in life realize, come to realize that the important things, I guess. you know. And I wonder about Kobe. All right, what did he know? There was a lot of symbolism with there. Like, do you go the symbolism route or do you just go the accident route? I ain't going accident, man. No fucking way, man. That guy was too important.
I think that him just the helicopter crashing with his daughter, in my opinion, is questionable because that daughter, if you watch and you look back at the history of him and his family, that daughter meant more to Kobe. And this is coming from a guy that deeply looked into Kobe because he was a local hero to us. He was. That daughter.
What school did he go to?
He went to Lower Merion. So Kobe's actually from Chester, Pennsylvania, but it was kind of like Chester's per capita, at least it was when I was in high school, the murder capital of the world. So everybody I was ever in jail with that was from Chester was there because the West Side and East Side boys were shooting each other. They would just stop shooting each other. The cops would have left them alone. It's a cesspool.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd be offending anybody from Chester to say that. It is a rundown, horrible part of a county that has a lot of money. Delaware County is I was in a middle range area, but now that little town is considered the main line of Pennsylvania, right? So my dad was a mechanic, my mom was a bank teller. We weren't super well off, but they worked their asses off to get what they got. And it was an upper middle class town. It still is.
Yep.
Chester is an armpit. It is a cesspool. It is the worst. So that's where Kobe was born. But it was a lot like the Fresh Prince, where Kobe's mom and dad were like, "You're going to live in your aunt and uncle in Bel Air," and they sent him to Lower Merion. Lower Merion was the main line. So like the Sixers and the Phillies and the Eagles all lived on Bryn Mawr Avenue, Route 30 in that part of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So he went to Lower Merion, just inside of the same county, and he ended up playing all of us in sports. It was an amazing experience.
Pennsylvania sounds like it's got just about every corner of every demographic, pretty much. Just like Maine, dude. Actually, you can say the same exact thing about Maine. You got Lewiston, Auburn, which you got that mass shooting that happened in Lewiston. That's the grimiest place around. But you got more of the, I'm the best ever, and I'm going to tell you all about it. Areas like Kennebunkport, Falmouth, Yarmouth, more of those places, the ritzy places, but more tucked out of the way than anything, right? Off grid, which, hey, yeah. I'll sign up for that shit, dude. Life started to improve for me once I got the fuck out of the city. No bullshit. Right? Oh, there's more job opportunities or anything. Nah, dude. I didn't start to figure myself out until I started doing what we're doing now, right? And realize, well, what people are drawn to is being genuine, being authentic, as we were talking about before, right? I know that's what I'm drawn to. People who are unapologetically themselves, whether perceived bad or good, it doesn't matter. Own it. Own every part of who you are. Own every part of your past. Let it go. Own it so that you can let it go and move the fuck on and stop focusing on what you want as opposed to what you don't want. Right? These are some of the things that you and I have learned later on in life, but learned nonetheless. And I'll be damned if the story is going to be a tragedy and not a success. No, it's going to be a success.
Bro, I love that. And you know what else comes with being completely transparent and authentic is that nobody can use anything from your past again.
Yes. Go ahead. You got nothing to come at me with. I know. I accept it.
and then turn around. All these people that are out here hiding behind. Look, I mean no disrespect. I'm not talking about anyone specifically. This is an in general comment. But there are people that hide behind avatars and people within this movement. So they shield. But let's just be honest. You said this pre-show. And I'm completely agreeing right now. Mm-hmm. Tell me someone that doesn't have demons of some sort.
We all do. I still do. But I'm not gonna heal from them until I self-reflect. Hey, listen, man. You know another thing we all do? This was the best self-realization for me. self-sabotage. Holy shit. What do you mean self-sabotage? I talk about this. I've talked about this a lot on my show. How do I self-sabotage myself, Joe? I do it through punctuality. Dude, I'm going to be late to my own fucking funeral. No bullshit. It's me. I guess it's how I'm wired. It doesn't have to be how I'm wired for the rest of my life. I can start to fix it, right? I don't want to be an old dog that can't learn new tricks. But why would I? What do you mean, Sean? You self-sabotage yourself through punctuality, through time, through being late to everything. Well, it's simple. Fear of success. Whoa. Fear. Everybody wants to be successful. Sure, they say that. But when you become most familiar, comfortable with anything, you can become comfortable with anything. Doesn't matter, right? You can become comfortable with success, and being poor and not well off can become foreign. Or we know the opposite to be true, right? Like that's what we're familiar with is struggle, right? So, and I've seen this, man. What happens to people who are poor, who are homeless even? Give them a $5,000 check. What do you think they're going to do with that $5,000 check? You think they're going to do the right thing with it? No, I promise you they're not. Why? Because they're familiar with being broke. They're familiar with being poor and not well off. So they come across something, it feels good, great in the moment, but they'll blow it off, right? It's like retraining the mind, dude, right? We get conditioned so easily. Even still to this day, right? Like words, cymatics, everything we talk about, we are creating in our existence, man. We are creating it. So learning to remove words like hate from my vocabulary, learning to, bad-mouthing others. If you can't say it to their face, don't even say it at all, because you will welcome it into your life. And you ever wonder why those people who always say, oh, I hate when this happens. I hate when I get cut off in traffic. I hate when this person says this to me. And well, you ever wonder why that keeps happening to you? Like, you ever wonder? At some point, do you ask yourself, maybe you actually like it? Maybe you actually are welcoming it, and you subconsciously know this. The subconscious is probably the most powerful thing, and we just don't realize it. And this is why things like ayahuasca is becoming very effective, because what it does, it's like trauma, but that trauma is in a form of self-reflection. You are reliving things from the past that caused you to be broken today, right? And realize and witnessing it, it's almost like an outer body experience, and you witness all those things that formed who you are today, and you're just like, holy shit, it's all needless. It's all useless. I've been carrying the weight of when this happened to me as a child. I've been carrying the weight of when that happened to me as a child. And therefore, it has formed this insecure version of myself today. Right. But I still do it to a degree, but we all adopt things. I'm still carrying things from my past as well. Right. Just slowly chipping away at it. The older I get, and it's very healing though, right? It's so fucking healing. Accepting things from the past, dude, just letting it go. That's when you finally let it go, and you can finally start to focus on what you want, not what you don't want. Because you ever notice when people express what they don't want, they keep getting it, right?
Oh, dude, I wanna. Okay.
That's cymatics.
What you just said is brilliant, and it brought up something personal. And I'm gonna. You probably can already guess where I'm gonna go with this, but I think I think we can do it in a professional way. Because to do it any other than that would go against my point. My point would be that there comes a time. I think this movement has taught me this as well. Drug addiction, homelessness, problems, struggles, self-help programs, repeat, right? Did it for years. I did that for years, right? And then whatever it was, my father, most of you have heard the story, it shoved me into this movement, this freedom movement and truth movement, and trying to be transparent as we just talked about before. Well, not everyone has gone through that process.
Mm.
And there's something about going through that process that I'm grateful for, because we come across these instances in life, like, I'll just put it out there. I'm going to do it as professionally as possible. The little breakup that I just had between the old podcast or live stream that I was doing and coming out here and doing it on my own. Look, there's nobody on the planet I'd rather talk about this than with you, is if we're going to do it publicly, because I know you understand.
Yeah.
The 5th generation warfare aspect of this movement has taught me to not follow my emotions.
Yes.
It has taught me to take a step back away from those emotions, the same way that the 12 steps did.
Yep.
So that I can then process and handle those things publicly. Because I promise you, I've punched a wall. Right? You know what I mean? Like, I promise you, I've cursed about people that I care about.
Yeah.
Truly love.
Yeah.
So if I love these people on one side and I'm mad on the other, then, well, the mad is a reaction to being hurt.
Yes. Hurt. Yes.
So if I'm hurt and I'm trying to control those uncomfortable feelings with an angry emotion, well, then I have to realize that publicly I shouldn't portray that anger, because it's bullshit.
Yes. And you need time.
Right. The love's real, and those things need to have some separation. And that is why, no matter how mad I've been at people I love, I have not portrayed that publicly, because I'm aware that those are emotions, and that's not necessarily the reality of the situation.
Oh, you're so beautiful, Joe. Yes. Oh my gosh, bro. Yes. I want to scream this from fucking rooftops. There's so many people I love that are great people, that I know where their heart is, and that's what matters the most. I know where their heart is, and there's so many people I want to give that gift to. They deserve it. Stop carrying the shit from the past, because it doesn't need to make you who you are today. It doesn't need to. If you start focusing on what you want, but you can't do that until you accept some things about the past. You have to accept it and move the fuck on, man. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, you almost wish that everyone could experience losing it all.
They will.
Talked about it.
Yeah.
Someday I want to lose it all.
You got to admit, a part of us wondered if he really meant it, though, right?
Yeah, but did he really?
We'll
start getting into earlobes.
That's fair. No, that's fair.
Did he really lose it this time? Because he did. He did in the whatever it was, early 90s. I feel like he almost lost it all. But do I really think he's losing it all now? No, I think it just looks like that.
How did he, dude? How the hell did he know that by taking the shots on the chin over and over and over again would result in positive results for him? Is that something that you and I could foresee for ourselves?
In hindsight, I do.
In hindsight, but
correct.
He didn't have he couldn't afford hindsight, because what he's doing is unprecedented.
What was your? I did not prep this question. What was your lowest moment in life?
Holy shit! Okay, I love this. Boy, there's a few of them. My lowest point in life. Okay, all right. I love this, and I love being transparent about this. Okay, I'm going to say this because this has formed a big part of who I am today. I love the conversation about addiction. I love being open and transparent about it, because that's where my healing started, and having this platform to do it and tell the world about it. There's something liberating about that. Now, when I was, for me, it was hydrocodone, Tylox, Percocet. Never evolved to heroin, never evolved to morphine, never evolved to fentanyl, especially. My daughter was born. I got 2 kids. My son. Okay, I was on hydrocodones every day, seeking boxers, fracture. You said you wrestled. I was a boxer. That was my extracurricular. Metal musician was also my extracurricular. But boxes fracture, umbilical hernia, painkillers for like 8 years. Took the wrong advice, went to a methadone clinic for a year. Oh, wow, terrible decision. And it was exactly a year. Went in the day before my birthday, March 6th. March 6th was the last day I ever took it. Because my son was just born. It was literally my birthday, March 6th, 2008. 2008. Or 2009. I'm sorry, 2009. And I had my son on my chest, right, trying to get him to sleep. He's like just over a year old, maybe a little younger. And when babies are just about to fall asleep, they sometimes will startle, like shock or surprise, like they had a nightmare or something.
Mm-hmm.
I had apparently nodded out right before that, and I wasn't familiar with this concept of nodding out, right? Like it wasn't. I've seen it, right? I never did the needles because anytime I ever saw anybody do the needle, it just disgusted me. It's something that seemed very gross about it. And then I would see the nodding out thing, and I was like, yeah, I definitely don't want that. I had nodded out at a poker game not too long before that with friends of mine, and I was a little humiliated, a little bit, not entirely, but it took this incident with my son, and I had him on my chest, and I had nodded out right before he did that startle thing, and I juggled him. I didn't drop him, but I almost did. It was enough to scare the living fucking daylights out of me and said, holy shit, my problem has gotten in the way of my children's well-being. Change has to be made. And that was the last day I ever took methadone. And I thought I was good. I went to Mercy Recovery to pretty much curl up in a fetal position and pray for death for a couple of days. Sweat it out, right? That's perspective. And that's pretty much, I would say, my lowest moment. There's a few other honorable mentions, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here while you're talking and I'm listening, and it's bringing up so many memories. So I could probably give you 10 that would shock everybody in the comment section. Like there was things I did for money I would never in my life. There was a time where I overdosed. A child was left on the kitchen sink. I mean, when I tell you that my life was bad, this is full transparency. I'm telling you, it was bad. This is a long, long time ago. It's the one thing that I can hold on to with pride. This is not something that's continued, but the one that I think that I want to say out loud because I think that you'll have an opinion on it is that there was this one time, I believe it was my second rehab, Sean, and I went into that second rehab going, oh my God, I'm going to end up like the old heads I saw in the first rehab where they told me they had been here 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, right? And I thought the first time I was there, there's no way I'm going to end up like that toothless old dude that's going through alcohol or heroin withdrawal again.
Yeah.
And now I'm here for the second time. And I went through 28 days of rehabilitation, as the state of Pennsylvania would give you with the state insurance. And I got my weight up, as we do, right? And they're thin and sucked out. And I came out of there looking healthy.
Yeah.
And I came out of there with a heart full of God, to be honest with you. And it was about 4 hours until I was in my car, already contacted the drug dealer. And I was driving to the spot, bawling my eyes out. I was crying as I was going there. And when I got there, as a typical drug dealer does, and at least in Philadelphia, I'm pretty sure this goes across the board, they don't show up on time.
Yeah.
So I sat there in tears for probably 15, 20 minutes, crying my eyes out.
Yeah.
And I, so much so that the better side of whatever the hell was going on inside of me emotionally had me turn the car, drive out of the parking lot, and leave. And I made it about a quarter mile before I turned around and drove back. And I was staring at my phone the whole time, like, am I going to miss him? And in tears, I drove back. Sean, I repeated this process 5-6 times.
I've been here, bro. I've been there.
I'm driving away in tears, and I'm driving back crying harder. I'm driving away in tears, and I'm driving back crying harder. And you know what happened? I ended up high. Not 6 hours out of rehab. And that was when I realized I had zero control over my life. That there was either two people living inside of me, or there was a severe lack of faith in a higher power, which I have come to realize was God. But at that time, it was only a struggle because I was trying to believe everything they were teaching me, and something inside of me was blocking it. And
you needed it.
It was that moment that I realized that I wasn't in control of shit.
Control's an illusion. Yeah.
That was the moment. And there's many that coincide.
You needed that to happen, though, didn't you?
Yeah.
And exactly the way it happened.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing.
We just hope that others can experience that before the worst case scenario, right? Dude, your story, you know who it reminds me of? It reminds me of Head.
Go ahead.
You know who Head is, right?
No, who are we talking about?
Head, the lead guitarist of Korn.
Okay, yeah, yes, I do.
Almost identical. Dude, I just listened to his testimony a couple days ago. It was the same exact thing. Almost identical, dude. He went to see the dealer. He's out of recovery, and and he dropped to his knees and prayed to God. This is why I don't. The 12-step thing. Kudos to you for that, man. That didn't work for me, right? And it doesn't work for everybody, but it also works for others as well. And you know what I do, right? Like, I work with others, right? Every Tuesday at 5 p.m. I conduct I kind of like what we're doing right now, but with now 12 people. At the time that you and I last talked, I only had 7. I now have 12 people. It's not court ordered. Every Tuesday, we get together and we talk about shit. We talk, and they're all in recovery. They're all, dude, in some of the heaviest moments of my life, I've lost 2 people in that group. And I realized something. I realized a lot, actually. But the 2 people I lost they didn't show up. They didn't show up to that group. So now, like, with the exception of half of them, there's like 5 or 6 that I'm confident if they were to miss, that I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry they're going to overdose and I'm going to hear about it in the news or something. Right. But the other ones, I'm like, all right, if they just happen to not show up, and it's not strict, it's voluntary, right? Again, it's not court ordered or anything like that. But what it made me realize, dude, is they love the routine. They love the schedule. And most importantly, they love the accountability, whether they admit it or not. Accountability, I see now later on in life, is a show of affection. But it needs a healthy mixture, a healthy equal parts compassion as well as accountability. No more or less for either two. They have to be both. You have to give them both equal parts of attention, compassion and accountability, right? You always start off with compassion. You show them that compassion, that understanding, making that effort to understand who they are, why they're wired this way. And the other part is accountability. All right. So I have expectations of you to remain who you are, who you told me you are. And you better not change that. Right. And that's love. That's affection. Right. And I'm sure you see it now. I didn't see it back then. I thought accountability as like a pain in the ass, just hey, get off my ass. Yeah. I don't believe in being obnoxious about it. I think relentless, yes, but not obnoxious. There's a fine line there, right? You don't want to be obnoxious about it. But certainly accountability is probably the big thing, like expectations. Also setting boundaries, right? I didn't grow up with boundaries. I didn't know how to set boundaries, right? A line in the sand. Here's a line. As long as you don't cross it, we're good. But if they don't know about that line though either, then it's not on them. So this is why it's important to say, hey, listen, here's the line, don't cross it. When you do that, when you voice that, then there's an expectation of not crossing that line. Do me dirty once, shame on you. Do me dirty twice, shame on me. You're not getting a third chance, right? For my protection. Dude, you're wired just like me. You love to help others, don't you? You love it.
Well, let me respond quick to what you said. Just so I'm clear, I give a whole lot of credit to this 12-step program for being part of my process. But in the end, the 12 steps were just part of my process. I don't necessarily think that it was the sole reason that I ended up getting.
Of course, yeah.
However, I can't deny that it taught me tons about myself.
Yes.
It gave me a whole bunch of guidance when it came to, like I use attraction rather than promotion, even within this movement, right? Like I don't believe in going to work and being like, hey, lizards ate babies and shaking somebody's neck.
Yeah.
However, I will
0 to adrenochrome.
right. But like the steps were the same way for me personally. I know a lot of people that tell you that the steps save their lives.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. More than the alternative.
Yeah. And it wasn't my experience. My experience was a clean, sober town that was full of recovery houses where everybody went to meetings and it was a social atmosphere and the girls got dressed up and boys dressed up and everybody banged.
Self-respect.
Yeah. Everybody. Well, no, it wasn't self-respect. It was a little bit fugazi, to be honest with you.
Oh, did you say everybody banging each other?
Well, that's what happens. There ends up being this deep, dark underbelly.
Oh, yeah.
Of this sobriety community where the recovery houses are just making a bunch of money. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunate. The message is there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people trying to do the right thing, but it's surrounded by chaos. So that chaos, I had my child in that atmosphere. It was a girl I saw across the room at an AA meeting, and her eyes locked. And next thing I know, we're doing the 12 steps and then some things that were not so spiritual.
Yeah.
and here's my boy. Right. And now I'm right. So like there was a mixed message within the whole thing. However, I think it was the whole process in hindsight that brought me to where we're at now. And I can't thank God enough for this movement kind of being the exclamation point in the whole thing for me, because so many people talked about God and stuff when I got here.
Yeah.
That it was like, oh, maybe them guys were telling me the truth. Maybe all that experience I gained was like legitimate.
Dude, you want proof that cymatics, right? Words, vocalizing, right? You want proof that it's effective. And I don't think necessarily the AA approach. They do apply the 12-step in AA and shit like that, right?
Repeat that. I'm sorry, I was reading his comment.
No worries. The 12-step program's not just in recovery, like intensive outpatient IOP or anything. It's also in AA as well, right?
Oh, it's not just AA, but it's now branched off to 100 others. NA.
Okay.
SA, yes.
Yeah. So here's my issue and why I would argue there's a lot of validity to the whole cymatics concept. Okay. And this is the thing, the major problem I have with the AA approach. What do you think it does when somebody goes up this person's in recovery or trying to recover, and they go up to a podium, all right? They stand up on a little pedestal with a podium, and they announce to that audience, "Hi, I'm Sean, and I am an alcoholic. Hi, I'm Sean, and I'm an addict." What are you doing when you do that? It's confirmation. You're confirming it to an audience. So there's accountability, but you're confirming that, hey, I'm Sean, and I'm a lifelong alcoholic. This is who I am. This is who I'm always going to be this way. Really? You just confirmed it to an audience that you're going to be that's who you are. That's how you're defined, right? Why do they have people do that? Oh, it's a way of surrendering. I don't know about that. You can choose who you want to be. You could easily go up in that podium and say, hi, I'm Sean, and I'm going to be wealthy one day. And the more times you say that, you're going to eventually be wealthy. I promise. I promise. Put it out there. What you want, not what you don't want, right? What you don't want to be an alcoholic. Who wants to be known as an alcoholic? Who wants to be known as an addict? It's confirmation, man. It's affirmation, right? Association. The more times you see something, the more likely you're gonna receive it. The more times you say something, more likely you are to receive it. The more times you hear, feel, see, touch, smell, the more likely you are to receive it. It's association, right? And repetition. This is the same thing with mainstream media. Tell a lie, say it often, and express it with confidence. That's what they do, right? They tell you the lie, but it's the repetition, right? They tell you over and over and over again, and we become conditioned to just accept it, right? That's how propaganda works. And I see it now. But the whole going up to the podium thing, you're supplanting to an audience, even making it more pressure, right? Adding more pressure onto you, and you're confirming it to an audience that you're essentially a lifer alcoholic, when that's not the case at all, right? I don't see it as disease as they say it. Other people are welcome to have their opinion, absolutely, and I respect it. This has been a process for me in seeing, right? You can just as easily have the decision to be associated with being an alcoholic or an addict, or you can choose to be associated with being successful, being wealthy, being happy, right? You don't have to be this person, but when you go up to a podium and you announce it to a fucking audience, you're confirming it. You see what I'm saying? And it was a wild self-realization for me myself, and this is what's worked for me personally. I'm not saying for other people, other approaches work, and you're a clear example of this, right?
So I think what you're saying is brilliant. Here's the problem with addiction, as they do classify it a disease, right?
That's what they do. Yes. Well, disease. What does disease mean? Dis-ease. The body is not at ease.
I can only give this experience in hindsight, and I will use the experience of what I witnessed in others from my perspective, by the way. I can't tell you what they felt. I can only tell you what I felt. And I can tell you what I witnessed in, I would say, a majority of the ones that actively worked a 12-step program. I would say that a majority of those that did it on their own free will
stayed that way.
Well, the ones that had a window open enough where they got desperate enough to become willing on their own were successful in that program. Mass majority. And I think that roots back to the origins of AA, Bill W. and Dr. Bob, and the writing of the Big Book. However, I think that the program has been watered down with some things that you've already mentioned.
Look at the logo. Look at the logo. The AA logo.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Oh, you have? Oh, yeah.
Once or twice.
It's interesting. Yeah, the pyramid, I'm sure, has nothing at all to do with it.
But what I'm getting at is, though, it's now been watered down by probation officers forcing people to go there. Judges telling people they have to go get. It's an anonymous program, similar to this movement where we're anons.
Yep.
Right? So you're not supposed to ever go there and have to acknowledge your name out loud. It's it's Alcoholics.
That's an interesting point. Didn't even think about that.
So why should I ever have to take a slip from a judge and have it signed by another anonymous human being that says that I was at a meeting that was anonymous? It's a
Yep.
self-help program.
Self-help. Yes.
It is not an institutionalized mandate.
I've not thought about it like that. That's interesting.
So the success rate with what I'm getting at is with people that enter it when they're approached by like in the early days of AA, Dr. Bob and Bill W would enter hospitals, and they would go into the wing that was housing the alcoholics that were going through their dimensions, whatever it was they were going through, and they would approach them with, do you want to get clean? Do you want to get sober?
You got to want it. Yep.
Right. If you would like to, we would be happy to help you. And they would take them into their homes. And there's stories in the big book of drunks destroying what their wives made for dinner and effing their whole houses up and it failing miserably. There's tons of stories like that.
Yep.
There's also stories of guys that wanted it desperately and it worked and it was successful. I will say that when I went through that 12-step process, I don't necessarily know that my head was in the same space as those guys that were successful. That's the truth. And that speaking from a lectern that you're talking about, I think that you're right, because a few times I spoke for my 1-year anniversary.
Yep.
And when I got up there from the lectern, I spoke a very good game.
Yeah.
And I told them, I learned the book very well. And I learned all about the 12 steps and making amends and doing the right thing. And
it's a form of surrendering, right?
I know, but I would tell you what I was taught to tell you. But inside, I was still the guy that was crying.
Yes, dude. You become a bullshit artist, essentially, right?
Right. I was driving back and forth from the drug addict in the back of my head, and I was projecting what the big book told me from the front of my head.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
I'm not saying it's not successful.
Right.
But I think that I just wasn't prepared yet at the time to accept it the way that I need it. It says to be completely truthful and honest. And I was trying to convince the two people in my head that we were going to all join together and do the right
thing. People in my head.
And one of them didn't have the same plans.
Yeah. Trying to convince the other one. I was trying to bullshit the other one. This is what I wanted, but the other one was like, "No, fuck you, dude. I'm not doing that, dude. It's not how I'm rolling, bro."
I mean, but that's the truth. And then something, but here's where I have to give it credit. Something when my dad died, and when I fought to get my son back, and this movement, something within all that, all of those experiences and dots connected. Because I can honestly look you in the eyes, right? This isn't front side, back side, left side, right side brain telling you right now.
Yeah.
Something happened about a decade ago where that one I was talking about was no longer there. And I know not everybody believes in this part of it. I've tried to come up with a different explanation. I don't have one, but God, I don't. So I know not everybody buys it. I'm well aware, and I don't push it.
You don't need to sell it.
Right. Well, attraction rather than promotion. So I just try to walk that way and hope that somebody finds that point in their life. And if I walk and talk, if I tell you about my story and I walk it the right way, then you'll ask me how I did it. And in which case I would love to share it with you. Do you know what I mean?
So you do like to help others.
Absolutely. I can't wait to help everybody. That's the point. That's the only reason we have these conversations.
That brings you a lot of fulfillment.
Yep.
Right. Probably the most fulfillment is if people can learn from my mistakes, but we can't be afraid to make mistakes though either. We cannot. In fact, I encourage it. You have to make mistakes because you have to learn how to turn that mistake into a lesson. And bro, let me tell you, I learned about anxiety. I learned about like panic disorder and all this shit, dude. I finally realized what anxiety really is. It's been weaponized. We know that, right? It's been weaponized just as opiates have been weaponized, right? But anxiety is a weapon. Anxiety, excuse me, is a result of taking an issue, a problem, and instead of confronting it, facing it, accepting it, we put it on this little back burner over here, right? And it's like Jiffy Pop. The burner's on really low, the lowest setting possible. And in the time that you have left it there on that back burner, that issue, let's call it cheating. cheating on your spouse, right? Let's call it that, right? I cheated and I put it on the back burner. I'm just going to ignore it, right? And in the process of, in that time that goes by where that's on the back burner, what happens is you start to put other things on top of that, right? You start to put other issues on that issue, that one insecurity. Let's call it an insecurity because it is. And after enough time goes by, you take even a glance at that pile now, what does that cause? Nice, warm, fuzzy feelings inside? Not so much. No, not even a little bit. No, it causes anxiety, insecurity, right? And what does that result in? We all have egos. I think ego is actually healthy to have, but to keep it in check. And that ego ends up taking over, right? And replacing the insecurity at times. And this is what makes guys snap, right? And they're good guys, right? Everybody's got goodness in them. They're capable of unimaginable achievements. But let me ask you this. What happens to any self-respecting man or woman, doesn't matter, when they go an extended period of time without experiencing any level of achievement? What happens? What kind of view of themselves do they develop?
Yeah, that becomes unhealthy for
Very
sure.
self-conscious. Yes.
Yeah.
You start to, they don't realize it, but there's no purpose. They have no purpose, man. If for any self-respecting human being to not have a purpose in life, and I'm pausing here because I'm just realizing, like, there's so many people in my life that I love that I can tell don't have a purpose, right? And things are dark for them, but they can't realize it, right? They're just reluctant to realize it, I guess. This reminds me, dude, beware. I'm sure you've realized this by now, but when people start to recognize that you've adopted complete and sheer objectivity, and you've shed ego, you've shed emotion. I shouldn't say shed emotion, but you stopped letting yourself be guided by emotion, right? Stopped reacting. You started to act and less react, right? Because nothing good ever happens when we react, right? It's a lot better when we act as opposed to reacting. People will see that and jealousy will happen. Just know this, right? I'm sure you know this already, right? If they see that there's nothing they can say or do that can hurt you, that can make you take it personal, they'll still look, right? There's envy of this, right? This is a feeling that a lot of people wish to have and can have, but it's important to go about it the right way, right? Like, you got to do self-realizing. You got to accept things about yourself before you can. And this is what the process you and I have taken. Almost identical, dude. When I listen to you, I'm like, holy shit, this is just a mirror of my life. I had to hit rock bottom several times, and thank the Lord, the worst case scenario didn't happen and we were able to fix it, right? But you got to accept certain things about the past. You have to do it so you can move on from it. So many of us, as I mentioned before, this is why ayahuasca is so effective, because it helps you confront certain demons, certain things that are just like a dark cloud over your head, right? Many people, dude, were fucked with as a child, not in a good way, in a dirty, grimy way. And as a self-defense mechanism, we put up this, we have this compartmentalizing ability. It's kind of like a self-defense. It's really like a self-defense mechanism. And even you and I, we still do it to this day. Everybody does it. Everybody does it, and everybody will do it. But you can decrease it, right? You can slowly chip away at it, right? But there are things that we suppress about our past, right? I love my parents. They're great parents, flawed like everybody else. There are times that I was forgotten about, like little league baseball practice, right? And like I said, they're good parents, but it worked hard. Probably came home, fell asleep on the couch after work, a little nap. Forgot sons at baseball practice, and multiple times either had to walk home at a very young age, and I carried that anguish, that anger, that contempt. Carried it, man. Like it formed a piece of who I am. Why I chose heavy metal. That's why I chose boxing. That's why I chose to get tatted up, because I got tired of being bullied on. Right. Right. I'm gonna start to. I'm gonna start make people fear me. Just my appearance, right? Become intimidating. But really, at the end of the day, people like Joe and I are just sensitive thugs who need a hug.
It's true.
Right?
That's so true.
At the end of the day, that's all it is. Don't let the looks deceive you. We're just a sensitive thug who need a hug, right? Period. And want to help others.
Goes with the rest of my scars. Well, that's the greatest part, is that people that been through a lot, like I believe that you and I both have, is we do just want to help others. Talked earlier about a purpose in that rant that you just gave there, and there was something that it triggered in my mind. There's a line in the Big Book that was my favorite. I shouldn't say favorite. It stuck with me like crazy for a very long time.
Just like certain Q posts have stuck with you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, dude, you have no idea how much I parallel the two.
Yeah, I know.
It's my experience, so I'm using it now with what is my purpose.
But they were putting a question for him instead. That's the only difference.
Yeah.
The Q was putting a question for him. Does emotion cloud judgment? I never thought about it, but yes, it absolutely does.
Well, I think I'm going to bring this full circle to exactly what you just said. So the line in the Big Book that I read that stuck with me so heavy for so long was that frothy emotional appeal seldom sufficed. And you can quote that. I believe it's in one of the first 2 chapters of the Big Book. Frothy emotional appeal seldom sufficed. And at the time, I grasped onto it so hard because I had lost custody of my son. So when you talked about people needing to have a purpose, it brings up those old feelings of guilt and shame and remorse, because my son should have been my fucking purpose.
You felt like you were failing your child. Yeah.
Right.
When you had a dream as a child yourself of the father you wanted to one day be, right?
And at the same time, at the end of this process that was my own, guided by a higher power, I gained a purpose in helping others, fighting for everything I have to get my son back, and this movement. And
leading by example. Yeah.
Where frothy emotional appeal seldom sufficed used to mean to me that no matter how much I loved something, my addiction had more power than it, and therefore I had to admit I was an addict or an alcoholic, so that I could therefore treat that, so that I could then go back to deal with the things that I thought should be my purpose.
Right. But that's what it used to mean.
That's what it used to mean.
What does it mean now?
For some reason, that comment, that quote no longer, and maybe it is the process that did it. I don't know what did it. I told you it was after that process. It was after the whole growing through the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous that something happened. I don't know if it was age. I don't know if it was wisdom. I don't know if it was that process. I don't know if God snapped his fingers. But for some reason, my purpose became more important, and that part of me that wanted to fight it and control everything disappeared. I don't know what the answer was. I can't tell you. I have no idea. I wish I knew. Because
so it's a form of surrendering, right?
Well, I don't want
things that you don't know.
I don't want to make it completely dark, right? Hopefully we can go in a much brighter direction after this, but I want to ask you one more harder question, because
Please.
I thought that while you were talking. How many people have you buried?
Holy shit.
Right.
Unrelated to addiction and stuff, or only related to addiction?
Take it however you want. You don't even have to answer with a number. I'm just trying to make a point, I think.
And believe me, anything dark can be, there's a silver lining behind everything that's bad or perceived bad. Always. I don't care what the scenario is, there's always a silver lining. something that good that can be taken from it. Even death,
Half
even
full.
death. The more deaths, dude, I've gotten weird with death as a result. And again, this is not something that I choose, right? This is not a feeling I choose. A lot of times I'm still processing these feelings, right? Death almost, I've experienced so much of it that it almost makes me, I don't know, appreciate things even more every time, even more, right? The smaller things. I let go of all the things that well, first of all, understanding I can only control myself. I can only control how I respond and react, which is what's going to only influence a desired outcome. Does that make sense? That's it. Like, I can't control an outcome. I can't control others. It took me a long time to realize this. I don't know why. It seems so obvious, really, in hindsight. It does. It really seems so obvious. But I've lost a lot of people and gone through many different stages of grief. I did 10 years of grief counseling. 10 years of grief counseling. And at first, I went through a couple of counselors because I was like, I didn't like their responses. I was angry, very angry. I lost my brother, my older brother, who allegedly, I say now allegedly, shot himself. When it comes to overdosing or drugs or addiction, yeah, almost equally as many people who have died naturally of natural causes or natural causes, right? Like cancer. I don't think there's much natural about today's version of cancer or today's version of Alzheimer's or autism or any of this shit. I think a lot of it is actually inhibited or encouraged somehow, many different means, right? But yeah, I've lost a lot of people, but I've gone through many transitions. And in grief counseling, one thing that I had, dude, the hardest thing I've ever had to learn is forgiveness. It took me 10 years, essentially, to learn forgiveness. But there's one part about this that isn't as obvious, okay? That forgiveness isn't what people would perceive as forgiveness. I'm talking about forgiving myself. That was the part that was hard. I could forgive others very easily, almost too easily, right? But it was actually forgiving myself that I was having the problem with. And thank God for Q. Thank God for Trump. Thank God for this movement and it came right at the tail end of all that, right? And I still didn't understand what forgiveness is, even though you could say it, right? Saying is something totally different. But actually, the actual act of forgiving yourself is the most powerful thing the most beautiful gift you can give to yourself. Right. And in the process, only once you've forgiven yourself, can you actually start to truly forgive others. And what I mean by this is, dude, we talked about earlier, compassion and accountability. I see that as compassion. I see that as affection. I'm sorry, affection, compassion, and accountability as affection. When I started to, I needed to forgive. There were certain people I needed to start to forgive. All right. I'm just gonna say it. My father. All right. I needed to forgive him because some of the behaviors against me, I internalized. I started to let define me. The name calling, the ridicule. And when I stopped for a moment to think about why does he do this? There must be a reason. But I couldn't focus on that because I was so consumed with the words, the labels, you're this, you're that. I developed I I developed very insecure, self-conscious because of it, right? So when you're self-conscious like that, it's hard for you to start thinking about the one who caused it, right? But when I started to really think about, okay, why is he like this? Oh, well, that's actually pretty easy. Father died when he was 11, so right before puberty. Right before puberty. Puberty is already confusing enough time as it is. And he didn't have that role model. That role model was on his way home, or the role model he had was on his way home from cheating on my grandmother at the time, and died in a fiery car crash by getting creamed by an 18-wheeler, right? And he just had 2 kids with the woman he was cheating on my grandmother with. So, and then he had older brothers, younger brothers, older sister. So he's the middle child. Very confusing, and no longer has that male role model. Therefore, he wasn't taught conflict resolution, coping skills, coping mechanisms, and instead, and I saw this progress. And again, I'm not saying like he's a good man at his heart. He's a good man and just lost, right? No purpose. So what happens is they start to project that onto others, right? They start to project how they feel about themselves onto those they love the most, in fact. Does that make sense? Did I lose you?
My bad. I thought my microphone could still be picked up. I apologize.
Yeah, no worries.
I was trying to give you the spotlight. I was saying yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. So let me tell you, dude. It was in this process. It was me making this effort to understand why he was like this that I found myself not even realizing it, bro. I found myself forgiving him. Like, oh wow, okay. I actually started to feel sorry. So you know what that emotion of feeling sorry and feeling sadness for him. What am I losing? What am I shedding? All of a sudden, all those feelings that the name calling, all the effects that name calling had on me. Right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
And it was beautiful, bro. And all of a sudden, I'm forgiving myself. Wow. It was that easy. Holy shit. So now I can start to move on from it. Now I can start to move forward from it, right? And this is a gift I want to give to everybody. Accept the things that you can't control. Accept it. What other choice do you have? Oh, yeah, let's dwell in it. Sure, let's dwell in it. Okay, what good is that going to cause you? What good is that going to cause you? Really? You're not going to grow. You're not going to improve. You're not going to. Do you want to be an old dog that can't learn new tricks? I don't. Do you? I know you don't. Dude, we're reinventing ourselves in our 40s. What?
That's true.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is kind of cool.
It's a fucking beautiful thing, dude. I don't want to. I want to be 80. I don't know. Fucking 80, but I want to be 80 and be able to try different things, right? Not stubborn.
Do you realize though that you're giving the skeletal version of the 12 steps? So I'm just gonna tell you though, because the whole process, right? So there's a few things that I can point out in what you just said. You know what? Hold on before I do it. Let me do this because we're a little over halfway. I kind of have a heart out at 3 because I got to take my kid to get his haircut. I want to say thank you to everybody over in the chat. If you could, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up on Rumble, on YouTube. If you are over on Twitter, which a lot of people watch that way, I'm super grateful for you guys. But just so you're aware, we do have the other 2 platforms where it supports the show just a little more if you hit the thumbs up on those sides. So whether YouTube or Rumble's your favorite, either one, just hit that positive affirmation. It means the world to me. I'm not going to do a sponsor type spot today, but I will just say if you use my pillow promo code Rambo, is how you can support this show so we can continue to have really cool conversations like this. And Kofefi.coffee has every single one of your favorite Anons and Patriots that are involved in that. You can go on there and check them all out. But I would highly recommend trying out mine and let me know what you think of it, because it means the world to me and it supports this show. I do have the Cash App. I just recently started doing, Sean. Somebody asked me to do this because most of the views come on replays. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So they weren't sure how to support the show if they were watching it at 9 o'clock at night when we're on at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So I put that on there for you guys. That's what the ticker is about at the bottom. That is what the QR code is at the top right. So if you choose to support the show, it is your choice. Nobody's required to give anything to watch the show, but it does help me continue to keep doing this, as I have 5 kids and 4 dogs and a house and a girl and a 70-hour week job, which I'd like to get out of. So if we can ever get this to the point like Sean's doing, which I'm super jealous of.
Let me add something to that, because it not only helps you personally, but it helps destroy the mainstream media.
That's what I wrote in the ticker.
Yeah.
Help me fight the mainstream, which is funded by BlackRock and Vanguard. It's a whole nother show.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. I love this, Sean. This means the world to me because I come on here all the time and I am very convicted in what I believe is going on. So I have a hard time kind of getting outside of that when it comes to the show anyway. Right.
Mm-hmm.
This is a real life conversation, bro. This means the world to me.
Really?
You have no idea. I hope it gets a good reception, but to be honest, I don't really care. This means this is probably my favorite show I've done in a long time.
Oh man, fuck yes.
Yeah, that's just true. So I hope people share it out. I hope people want to have real deep conversations like this. This means the world. So I'm
liberating.
But so what were you saying? Because I wanted to relate it to the 12 step. Oh, okay. So there's the Serenity Prayer. You basically quoted it.
Yep.
Do you know the me version of the Serenity Prayer?
No.
So God grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, the courage to change the ones I can, and the wisdom to know it's me.
No, it's me. Yeah.
So that's a huge one that kind of got me through a lot of things, because I realized it wasn't necessarily about all these outside things that
influences.
Me. It was more about me and the way I process my emotions, the way I process things.
Bingo.
And here was the other point. You talked about this, but this is legitimately all the 12-step program is about. So the idea is that you find a sponsor who walks the way that you want to walk in life, and you ask that man for help, and that man secretively, without telling you, realize that he's going to take your hand and put it in the hands of God, and you're not going to find that out until later, right? So that's the point. It's literally a shell game to introduce you to God. It is. It's just what it is. And there's a process within that 12 steps where you learn to take full responsibility for your actions. That's why I quoted. That's why I quoted that me version of the Serenity Prayer. So the whole process is to find your part in everything you've ever been through, right? So we have a tendency as addicts or alcoholics, I think I can speak for them as I am one. Yep. We have a tendency of blaming everyone else, right? My mommy did this. My daddy did this. My friend did this, the church did this. It doesn't matter who did it, but somebody else did it. It wasn't me. I'm the victim.
Right.
And the process through the 12 steps is for you to learn to find your part, because you typically have a part in 99.9% of everything.
Yep.
Now, to come full circle with what you were talking about, there is that 0.1% where you cannot find your part. I deal with one in this household. The oldest daughter in this house is a victim of sexual abuse. Her stepfather is in prison. It's one of the reasons I was so attracted to this family, because I felt like with what I stand for and what I believe in and where I came from, that they needed me and I needed them, right? I lost my family for such a long time. And they lost their family due to sexual abuse. And it is one of my primary purposes in this movement. So I was attracted to wanting. By the way, can you guys give me a 5x5 if I corrected the mic issue? They were saying you were louder than me. Am I louder now, Sean?
You're louder than me.
No, they were saying you were louder than me. I tried.
That I was. Oh, okay.
So, in AA, I think this relates to what you were talking about. There is that 1%, and the book accounts for it, and they call it the sick prayer. So, my example would be my mother, right? So there's some things that my mom did to me, similar to what you were just talking about with your parents, where I wasn't able to find my part because I wasn't even pubescent, right?
Yeah, you have no idea, dude. You're still learning.
Yeah. So there were some things that happened to me that were rooted in my addiction where I couldn't possibly, no matter how hard I prayed, find my part in the damage. And in those moments, the big book gives you a prayer where you are to pray to be able to forgive because that person is probably sick and has gone through their own trauma. And it's one of the most enlightening moments through the process when you have to realize that those people are also human and what they did to you wasn't necessarily personal, but more guided by damage that they went through. And maybe that it kind of sucks that they weren't able to go through the process that you were going through.
Yeah. So you, in turn, you forgive them.
So it kind of, it stops the circle. It cuts the trauma.
Yes, dude. Absolutely. Oh, and it's a beautiful thing because you can forgive them for things that you didn't realize you maybe carried from the past.
Right.
We just didn't learn those tools back then. Dude, we have the gift of sight today, and it should be handled with care and respect. I think being responsible about it, right? When I say responsible, I mean, okay, this is an opportunity to be honest with yourself. And in doing so, you're setting yourself free from all those things that bound you to the shit in the past, man. Right. And in return, we find out we're not making excuses anymore. We're not making those excuses anymore. And it wasn't, I could see how it can be misconstrued or construed as you're making excuses, but you need to recognize it. You need to actually analyze your past, analyze those things that were traumatic. It's hard to say traumatic, right? And it's hard to even consider stuff because we don't want to play victim. We don't like the victim shit, right? We look at other people playing the victim card today. We're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're not a victim. You're making yourself a victim, right? So that's why we were reluctant to even look at the stuff in the past because we don't want to play the victim bullshit, right? So in doing so, in reflecting on that shit that fucking holds you back, man, you're healing yourself, and hopefully people will see that and adopt it too. Wow, if he can do it, I know I can do it. I promise you right here, right now, fam. If me and Joe can do it, dude, there's no exception. Everybody can do it. We're a lost cause at one point, right?
Sean, that's the point. I want to make sure everybody knows this is the point. This isn't about me or Sean's background. This conversation, in my opinion, is just like everything else that I've talked about in AA or on the show or wherever it might be within Friends. The idea is when you have these conversations that you find something you can relate to so that you all realize, or anyone realizes, that there is a way out no matter what you're feeling or going through, right?
That's right.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, dude. That's a dialogue. Dude. And you need to do yourself a solid by forgiving those others, those people in your life, right? Everybody, it's happened to everybody. Dude, there's not one person. Hey, look, it's even happened to the so-called elite at the tippy top of the proverbial pyramid, right? It's even happened to them. That's how they got this way, right? These people, man, they disassociate, right? But that was a tactic. They were deliberately abused so that they can compartmentalize, so that they can become numb to the shit. Trust me, I've seen some ugly ass shit. These people get off. When I say sadistic, man, they get off on seeing others in pain. Right, that's sadistic. So this shit emulates. It reverberates to others. Right, we adopt it just because we see it. Right, horror movies, bro. You and me, I guarantee you grew up on horror movies like I did. Guarantee it. Dude, Rambo, are you kidding me? Dude, I'm the biggest Sly fan. It's not even funny. If I were to find out today that Sly was fucking with kids, my bias just might get in the way, right? Like, I try my fucking best to be objective. Like, oh shit, dude, Schwarzenegger, dude, he's a scumbag. Oh shit, fucking, you know, I'm told, Sean, you look like Sean. Anybody ever tell you look like Robert Downey? No, I've never heard it before in my life. Come to find out, homeboy's a scumbag. Like, shit, man. Like, everybody you grew up, admiring turns out to be a scumbag. Well, there's reasons why they're scumbags, right? There's reasons. There's reasons for everybody's behavior. Everybody, right? There's a dude, we are all products of our environment. Period. Full stop. Right? But the choice you want to make today is, what's that environment you want to choose for the rest of your future, for your kids' future, for those you love, right? Lead by example.
So I still struggle with one, Sean.
Which one?
Well, I'm currently in a battle for my son, right? I'm trying to stand up. I've been trying for a freaking decade to stand up and do the right thing and get my son back. Well, I don't know if you're aware. Everybody in the chat, I'm sure, is at this point, but I've gotten my son back because my mom's been charged with child abuse. So I've been screaming child abuse since I was in 3rd grade. Nobody listened to me ever, right? I don't know what came first, the child abuse or the heroin addiction, but I'm sure that they kind of are linked, right?
Yeah.
Nobody believed me.
Absolutely.
But now my son gets put in this position where the stepbrother, whose father is dead from heroin addiction, 3 children in that household. I went to school with them. 2 out of 3 are dead. So there's another child and my son, both under the roof of my mother and his grandfather. So that other boy, in my opinion, was very courageous. And he went to school and he told the truth about some things that were happening to him. Well, in this day and age, the same things that I went to school and told people were happening to me, they listened now. So I don't know whether to be slightly grateful for the liberal policies that have infiltrated our school system for the moment or not. But
interesting.
However, that boy went in and he told some things that were happening, and it got some agencies involved. And because those agencies got involved, a whole lot of felonies got charged on 2 people, one of which is my mother. So I went and I filed immediately emergency custody.
Yep.
So it was almost like God said, enough's enough. You have been fighting long enough. You've proven yourself. You're obviously doing the right thing. This is how I see it. Prayer and meditation have led me to believe that. And I went in emergency custody and I got my son back. Well, for the last, I don't know, I think we're at a year now. I've been going through court hearings, whatever else. What I'm getting at with telling that story is I'm struggling to forgive. But it brought all of the scars. It ripped all the scabs off, bro.
You're struggling to forgive because it's happening to you right now as we speak.
I learned to take responsibility for my parts, right? Like the stuff when I was a teenager and I acted like an ass and I got my ass beat for a reason, right? I can admit all that. And it even, I did that sick prayer and everything was cool because I accepted and forgave and I moved on. I still loved her as my mother. And now this happens to my son when I just fought for 7 years leading up to that, 8 years leading up to that to get him back. And you blocked me at every turn. You raped me of any penny I tried to make.
Let me ask you why.
What?
Why? Why did she?
Because it goes back to the sick prayer. That's what I think. I think that she's got fucking mental issues, bro. That's what I think.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. And maybe this is what helped me, not to repeat it, but understanding how my father, the environment he was raised in, it wasn't a bad one, right? It was better than most. Let's just say, put it that way, right? But as a result of certain things that formed who he is today, right? And again, you take a purpose away from anybody, their They walk around aimlessly. And one thing I really noticed is what they do is they project onto those they love the most actually about how they feel about themselves. I don't know if that makes any sense to you or not, but really, that's what those they love the most. It has to be those they love the most. They need them to hurt like they hurt. They're hurting, whether it's viable, whether it's legitimate or not. It's irrelevant, right? They're just projecting how they feel about themselves because they could easily feel better about themselves and not have to destroy those they love the most or those they're supposed to love the most, right? They're projecting pain is what they're doing, and they need others to feel that pain. They don't realize it.
Listen to this bullet point. I didn't realize I was going to get in this story, but I'm going to tell you anyway.
Okay.
So when I found out that kid went into school and he told about some things that happened, it was 2 months prior to me finding out. He did so, and an investigation started through, child services or whatever. The police were involved. And eventually, 2 months into this investigation, I was told that it was happening by the grandmother on the other side.
It took that long? Really?
Yeah, nobody even told me. You wouldn't know it though if you went online and you looked at everything my mom and her foundation are talking about. If you go look at that, they'll tell you that I'm the one that did this and I'm the one that and I'm lying to get my son back. It's this whole made up thing, right? So that's one point. Let's put that aside. Mm-hmm. As you can see, there's a little resentment there.
Mm.
I get told by the grandmother of the other child, who obviously is most likely at odds with the grandfather that's being charged. The father's dead, right? So I get told, and so I instantly contact the authorities. Hey, I'm his father. I've been fighting for going on 10 years to get him back. Is he in an unsafe situation? What should I do? What's going on? And they won't really tell me anything. So then I already have a good amount of visitation at this point, but they're never going to give me full custody because it's 3-4 counties over. It's 2.5 hours away. So I have him in my custody, and we're taking him with the other 4 children to Hershey Park in Pennsylvania. So we're taking them all to Hershey Park, and we're in between Philadelphia and Hershey Park, and we're going to go spend the day there. And I get a phone call from the police that says, you're not going to return your son. Your mom's in jail. Okay. I get this phone call in the car with the kids, and Kim's driving. And I'm like hyperventilating. 10 years. I've blown 50 grand on lawyers, bro.
You're thrilled, aren't you?
Yeah, to the point I'm bawling. So I'm bawling my eyes out.
You're relieved.
And she had to pull over on the shoulder. That's not
relieved.
true. I was driving.
Relieved.
She made me pull over. This is how much it was traumatic. I was driving, and she handed me the phone, and I answered it, and I'm driving, and I'm bawling. I can't even see. I had to pull over.
I felt relief when you just said that, dude. I felt relief.
My son is all the way in the back of the SUV, 3 rows back, bawling his eyes out. The other 4 kids are hugging him and crying.
Because you're bawling your eyes out, or because he knows
he doesn't have to go home, and he's with us. He's tried to ask the court for years.
Oh, man.
So it's like this crazy, awesome, amazing thing. It's beautiful. Well, 3 weeks later, the police want him to come in to not the police station, but we go into a counselor's office.
How old
is he? So like basically a shrink interviews him that's trained to deal with children, and the police monitor. Right. So the shrink knows what questions the cops want. So the shrink asks those questions in a way that their training allows them to deal with what was at that time a 12-year-old. He's now 13. So the cops, I am supposed to take him there. So I drive him to Delaware County. Well, that office is 2.5 blocks away from my mom's house. She's got him monitored GPS on his watch. I know this. It's like mandated in our custody order. So that was on a Tuesday. She had already gotten out of jail on bail. And when we go there, I take him inside. I parked my car kind of around the side because I didn't want anybody to see me in media. And I take him in and we spend an hour and a half, 2 hours in there. And I come back out and my tires are flattened. The tires are flattened on my car. There is no other tires in the whole town flattened. I called the police. I said, we were just in there for your interview. You monitored it. You need to come the 4 blocks down here to this office that we're at and look at my car. My tires were flattened in the driveway. My freaking mom saw where he was at and went to my car and pulled the stem. My dad was a mechanic, my old man, pulled the stem out of the air thing. Nobody else would know to do that. She knew that because my old man was a mechanic. She didn't slash him. She didn't let the air out, sit there for hours. She unscrewed the stem and let the air go out.
I don't
How am I supposed to forgive her, bro? I know. I realize I'm in it right now, so it's going to be more difficult. I'm sure that I'll be better on the other side.
Yeah. This was recent.
We haven't yet had her trials on the 5th of June.
So you're able to prove that it was her? I mean, I know you know it, but really.
No. So the police.
Does she believe in the whole system? Like if she was to give an oath to be complete and open and transparent and not lie or perjure herself in court, would she? And she was asked, "Did you come to my vehicle?" And maybe you alluded to having her on film doing it. Would she lie about it?
I believe she would already know that she didn't get caught. Hold on, I'm going to show you something, okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to show you the news story.
Yeah, I know you know it was her.
I know.
Yeah, I know you know.
Grew up with the woman. I know how spiteful she is. I know that she had him on GPS.
Yeah.
Hold on.
But if you could even if you could ask that question in the court, dude, under oath, swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, right? Get her to deny it. But then you ask the question, is it true that you have and I assume it's that app, what is it, 360 something app, where I know the mother of my children has it on both my kids, the 360 app, where they can track pretty much wherever they are, whenever, and even how fast they're getting there, right? Which I suspect that's what she has on your son. And so that's possessive, all right? So that's possessive. And that's what it is. She's possessive. And that's a sickness. That's what my father has that. And I still love him, but at some point we got to set boundaries. I got to set boundaries, right? Here's a line in the sand. You do not motherfucking cross this, dude.
So the police said that they would bring it up and put her, confront her with it on the stand. But unfortunately, there was something else big that happened that day in that town. And so the cop only knocked on about 4 or 5 doors looking for ring cameras before she had to give up on it due to her duties. That was what I was told. So 1000% she flattened my tires.
Yeah.
Now, hold on. I'm going to show you. So look, I told you I'm completely transparent. Joe Rambo is my nickname. So you guys are all going to know who I am when I show this. And I've already done it on Twitter anyway, because so many people. Mary Flynn was one of the people that donated to help me fight this cause.
Oh, nice.
Sean. Yeah, I was Mary Flynn, LT from And We Know. Tons of people.
LT, dude, for real?
Yeah, JF Anon was the biggest.
Oh, dude. Fucking, I love that, bro.
JF Anon saved my whole year.
Did he really?
I mean, the whole community did, but JF Anon went above and beyond, bro.
Dude, shout out to Scott. Shout out to the
LT went above and beyond. LT didn't even know me at the time, and he saw my thread, and he went. I'm just going to tell you guys, he went above and beyond.
LT's a good dude, man.
So here, hold on, I'm gonna show you this quick. So here's the.
He shows your stuff a lot,
What's that?
LT shows your content a lot.
He does. Yeah, I know. He's great. Well, ever since I kind of, it's very few and far between, but I do talk to him now. because I reached out to him afterwards. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? That was, dude, you will never in your life hear me say a bad word about JF Anon, Mary Flynn, or the whole Flynn family, LT and We Know podcast. Those people, without truly knowing me, JF Anon and I, we knew each other. However, the other two, I didn't know them at all. Just was out here being Joe Rambo on Twitter. That's it.
Dude,
and they stepped up.
Same thing with Dilly. You'll never hear me say a bad word about Dilly, Brendan Dilly, because and whatever. I know there's a difference between Q-tards and Anons, and nobody could tell me otherwise, right? Because I'm an Anon. Well, I'm actually referring to myself as not so Anon, Sean Anon anymore. Okay. This is the biggest oxymoron there is. I get it, right? But there's a difference between what we refer to as Q-tards. Some people like to be referred to as that, but and then Anons, right? And I think there was some confusion about it. But regardless, that dude donated money for my nephew who was diagnosed with leukemia. He donated more money than anybody has. And guess what? I'll never, ever, ever forget that.
Yeah, I want to answer this person. Did they check for prints? So there was one in the wheel was very smudged. I have like not gold, but bronze rims. I have a little GTI with bronze rims, and they were dirty at the time. And there was a print, but it was smudged. Nobody got it. So I unfortunately, because I could do this with you all day, bro. I got to be out in 15 minutes. I want to show you this story. I want to show you this quick, and then I hope that we can do this again. Because
anytime you want, bro.
Yeah, I could legitimately sit and hang out with you. We could start doing new stuff. We could anytime. Maybe we'll do one next week if you want.
You know, you can come join us anytime you want. Bro.
Yeah, I would love to. Send me. We'll talk after.
Yeah.
So here's the news story, just so that you understand what it is I'm talking about. Let me get rid of that.
Founder and
New at 11 tonight. The founder of a Delaware County nonprofit that helps grandparents care for their grandchildren is facing charges of child abuse. The 65-year-old woman and her fiance are accused of physically injuring their own grandkids. Action News reporter Andy McCormick has the full story.
They're your blood. You want to take them home and take care of them, love them, and everything else.
That's
it's
my
not
mom.
even a consideration.
65-year-old Rhea Kelsal is seen here in a 2021 PBS interview talking about the nonprofit she co-founded, Gratitude for Grandparents. It helps grandparents raising their grandchildren through charitable contributions. She and her fiance, 66-year-old Carl Hayner.
So now you might start to get the idea of why she was withholding my son from me. She had built an identity.
Yes.
To help grandchildren. And when I got better and she promised to give me my son back, she blocked me at every turn because she is the founder of a nonprofit
it's a
called
facade, bro. It's a facade.
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude. I literally covered this last night, dude. Courtney Love's mother. Courtney Love. Dude, because Kurt Cobain just came up on his whatever anniversary of his passing in 94, right? April 5th, I think, 94.
I'll tell you in a minute, mama. Go ahead.
And dude, Courtney Love, who's had 2 marriages, okay? Her first one was in 89, and she divorced in 89. that first marriage. Second marriage, Kurt Cobain, from 92 to 94. Not even 2 years, okay? Her mother, dude, I think it's Patty, oh my gosh, Patty Fox, maybe? Excuse me, Patty Fox. You know what guess what her fucking profession was, bro? She was a psychotherapist. She was a marriage counselor, bro. Are you noticing a common pattern? What do we do? Pattern recognition, trend analysis.
It's crazy. All right, here's the rest of the story.
Damn.
Are now stand accused of verbally and physically abusing their own grandchildren. The affidavit states in one instance, Hayner threw one of the children into a wall and grabbed him by his neck. The child victim one stated it was so tight he felt like he was getting choked out and couldn't breathe. The affidavit goes on to say Kelsal tripped him on the grass at Springton Lake Middle School, giving him a bloody nose, then yanked him back up and yelled in his face before pushing him again. We went to the accused couple's media home, but they declined to comment.
About 90,000 grandparents in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania right now have custody and are raising their grandkids.
Delaware County District Attorney Jack Stolzheimer said more grandparents than ever before are primary caregivers for their grandchildren.
There's never an excuse for child abuse. And no matter what these people's positions were and what their relationship to these children, what is alleged to have happened, what these victims have come forward and told law enforcement is wrong, and we're going to hold them accountable.
A family member tells Action News that both of the young children were removed from the home and are currently staying with family members. We did reach out to the attorney for the couple. He did not reply to our request for comment. However, he did tell the Delaware County Daily Times that they deny the allegations. In media, Annie McCormick, Channel 6, Action News.
I almost wonder, bro, is this a godsend? I think you're muted.
Yeah, I was trying to tell you earlier. I feel like God stepped in. God finally stepped in. There's no question.
It's hard to really ignore that, man. Again, there's a silver lining behind everything bad that happens. This only supplants what I said earlier even more, right? Yes, it sucks. It sucks. You know what? And you could even bring this up in court. You know what? It sucks that not only I had to suffer the abuse, and then the years of addiction, the years of recovery, the journey that I've been on as a result. It sucks that nobody could see it even then after I brought it forward. And it sucks that even now, not just a child, any child, my child has to be harmed before people start to recognize it. Now, maybe is it time to consider all those times all those things that I've said, trying to warn you, trying to seek help, assistance in any way, shape, or form, and I got nothing, right? You don't have to bring that up, that you got nothing, because you know that, right? But you had to, dude, every bit of this journey you had to go through. And it sucks. My heart goes out to you. But I think there's a light at the end of this tunnel, bro.
Well, he's doing really good, just so everybody's aware, before I ask Sean about where everybody can find him. But we just had his 13th birthday party. We're about to we had the personal one at the family. We're about to have the big one, which we go take him and all his friends jumping on trampolines. He's playing lacrosse. He's in counseling. He's doing better than he did the first marking period. He struggled. The second one he got better, and this third one he got even better. He's still in trouble because he didn't finish all his homework, but he's doing really good. We're together. He's got 4 siblings he didn't plan on, and they all seem to get along really great. So I'm happy about that. It is a little weird because that family has their own damage and our family has our damage, and we're all trying to be like a damaged, Brady bunch. But I think that we're doing
calm in your life, right? That's all you need.
I think we're doing really well. We're doing really well. And
hope for the best, but expect the worst, dude.
It won't be over, Sean, until she's finished getting charged, because right now he's only with me still on emergency custody. So that's pending her charges.
Well, you know what's not good for a kid? You know what's not good is relocating, right? What's really good for a child is routine, schedule. And you remove the kid's already been removed, not once, now twice at least, right?
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not good. What's good is schedule, is routine, same shit, different day, right?
Yeah.
That brings stability into a child's life. And dude, to say that's your argument moving forward is an understatement.
The system is shitty though, bro. He should have been here. If I'm realistic, he should have been back here 6-7 years ago.
You're telling me, dude. I couldn't agree more. Dude, I've effectively been alienated from both my beautiful fucking kids by this same court system. All right. That's my daughter. That was recently. She is now 18 years old. And only once she turned 18 was when she finally started to talk to me more. This was over the summer, last summer. And that smile is a hard smile for her because she internalizes everything. So I know what it's like, bro. Trust me. My son, that's a different story.
Yeah. Well, I can say that there's no love lost. If the one thing that did with my son, he was still young enough.
You don't need to forgive her now either. Your mother.
Not
now.
I can't even foresee when it's possible. I know that it probably is.
I promise you. I promise you on everything that is holy, one day you will. Okay, now's not the time.
Yeah,
that's what I would say. That's what I would say to you about this situation. Now's just not the time.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, bro. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, dude.
I knew the last time we hung out that we'd be able to sit and chill and hang out like this again. So I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah.
Sit on back channels because I'm going to be bouncing right out of here when I end this thing. Let me know when you guys do shows because I'll talk to Kim and I'll work it out. I'll come hang out with you guys. I would love to hang out with Drunk Pinata again. He's one of my favorites too.
I'll make it happen, bro. I have an entire media company now, an entire media company. And if you want, dude, we can even give you a show.
Well, I would. If
we're
you
taking
can
people on, we're setting up fundraisers for people that show that I see in the chat are that show that they want to do it. They're possibly passionate about it, and they show consistency. Dude, we'll hold fundraisers and we try to get computers for people, and so that they can stream and do this themselves because it is very healing, bro. And that brings me fulfillment. And we'll bring them into America Rising Media, which is what we have, America Rising Media. Me and Johnny. That's Johnny Q, right? And we bring people on board, right? There's a couple of different shows now. With just me and Johnny, it's America Rising News, Monday through Thursday, 9:30 p.m. every night. It's the news. Me and Johnny, we cover the news, and we add commentary to the news. Every Friday night is It Needed to Be Said. And that's the news mixed in with saying the things that need to be said. Very fucking relieving, bro. And then on the weekends, well, even throughout the week, there's other shows too, right? We got took on this other one, Truth Blitz with Orion and Mary. I call her Mare Bear. They cover the news, but every day at 1 p.m. Then there's Trend Analysis with me and Drunk Pinata every Wednesday, right? That's amazing. And there's other shows too. But me and Johnny on the weekend, at least I do, every Sunday on my own channel, I do what's called Patriot Theater. And what we do, you'll love this. And you're welcome to join me for one of these, bro. Anytime you want, any Sunday. Pick 2 movies, because now when we watch movies, it's complete AIDS watching movies, but but we see them with a different set of eyes than we did back then, right? And we analyze it, just like Mystery Science Theater 3000. You remember that shit?
Yeah, of course.
With Little Robot and shit, Comedy Central. So we'd add commentary to these movies. We just did a Daniel Day-Lewis marathon. The week before last, we did Lincoln and There Will Be Blood, back to back, double feature. Me and a guy named Duppy, who was a scientist. This guy, he's brilliant, dude. And then last Sunday we did Gangs of New York and Last of the Mohicans, bro. We have so much fun doing it though, dude. Right? We see things that we never saw before.
Yeah, it's true.
A lot of predictive programming, even, right? And we try to analyze it, but we are objective. And I have one rule: there's no self-censorship. That's the only rule. Do not self-censor yourself.
You wouldn't have to worry about that with me.
Oh, dude. And every turn you see people's shoulders all like, yeah, finally, you know what I mean? Dude, I don't want uptight shit, right? I want you to feel comfortable and just relax, be yourself, right? It's a lot of fun. And I think our next series, we're going to do either Indiana Jones or maybe some stuff to do with space. I was thinking Interstellar or something like that. But that's a lot of fun. And I do that on my own channel. But I leave America Rising Media. Anybody who we take on board wants to do a show, we give them the audience, and they can get, hopefully, things started for themselves, you know?
Well, let's talk this weekend and next week. I'll see if I can't get you to come back on here next week, and we'll talk between now and then because I am interested. I'd love to spread my wings and get this show out there. I legitimately love doing this. So
I know you do. I know you do.
Yeah, anything we can do to help each other. I'm gonna go right back to what I've always believed, which is stronger together. So
that's right, man. Yeah. Unity. Period. But we gotta keep our eyes in the back of our head because Bill Cooper said it best, right? We talked about this pre-show. Anytime you have a patriot movement, you better expect infiltration. There are gonna be bad actors. There are gonna be people who are, intend to mislead, right, or intend to divide, right. That's going to happen. Expect it. So we have to have eyes in the back of our head, unfortunately, but it is what it is. And I think a lot of you can probably imagine who many of them are.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right, Sean.
Thanks for having me, bro. Seriously, I appreciate it.
Dude, it's my pleasure. It's my honor. So
seriously, it's been a long time waiting. You hit the nail on the head with that one. Pilled Twitter, right? Pilled exclusively, not exclusively, mostly, but definitely on Rumble. And Twitter, True Social, Telegram, all of that shit, dude.
What, all Sean Anon? It's
typically at Sean Anon 82. I'm pretty sure that's what it is on Twat, X, whatever the fuck it's called. Yeah, at Sean Anon 82 on Twitter, and same thing with Telegram and Pilled, Rumble. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, I'll tell you what. After, where'd you go? Oh, Sean just exited himself. All right. Well, unless he shows back up and I get to say goodbye one more time, I think he just bounced himself by accident. That was not me. I got to get out of here. I got to take a kid to go get a haircut. But I hope everybody enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up on YouTube, hit the thumbs up on Rumble, and share the show out. I'm glad that we finally got to have, like, I don't want to say the other conversations aren't real, but this one's, this was a real life conversation. And I hope that people found something to relate to within the conversation. That was what I was taught in the rooms. Great show, but who was your guest again? The guest was Sean Anon. He's known as Mr. Baker on X, but it's Sean Anon at Sean Anon 82 on almost every platform. When I've hung out with him before, the platform was pilled.net. So the dude's awesome. I already knew we got along. It's just been a few months since we got to talk together. I will see you guys all on the flip side, and hopefully Sean and I can work something out. I would love to work with him more. I hope he wants to work with me more. And everybody that he's got going on. I know Johnny Q, and I know Drunk Pinata. Drunk Pinata is awesome. I hung out with him early on doing the streaming on the other platform. So we'll see. I will see you guys all next time. Like I said, please hit the thumbs up over on, hit the positive affirmation on whatever platform you're on. Know that if you're watching this on replay and you do choose to support the show, you do have that Cash App option. So thank you guys all very much. And I will see you guys Monday. On Monday at 1 p.m., we will be hanging out with JF Anon and Smart Paul again. So JF Anon Smart Paul will be on Monday. On Thursday, I have Mustang Medic, the guy that was there the night before. We talked about just the other day on the Apocalypse Day. Mustang Medic was the one that was there in DC for a year filming what was going on in 2020, the fake inauguration when the National Guard and barbed wire fences took over DC. So we're going to have him on Thursday. And Friday, as of right now, I have Feisty Cat confirmed. So Friday, Feisty Cat will be here. I'm hoping SSG, but I think he might be away for the week. So it may just be me and Feisty Cat hanging out. So either way, you guys will be in for a treat. I will see you guys all on Monday. Yeah, I don't know how that happened. I see you. That wasn't me, though, just so you're aware. I think you pushed I don't know what it was. I don't know, but we'll talk. We'll talk, bro. Sean, we'll talk. We'll definitely do this again. Much love to all you guys. I will see you on Monday at 1 p.m. Peace.